I've been ionized, idolized, criticized, homogenized, pasteurized, and now my soul's been psychedelicized. Yeah, dreams, I think, are such an important part. Are you familiar with the dream weavers, I think, from India? I think, and I'm not sure on that, but I remember once in some of my studying about dreams, I read about these people who are called dream weavers. And I think they're from India. I'm not sure. But they claim, and I have no reason to doubt it, that they have perfected the art of lucid dreaming to the point where they are dreamweavers, that they can induce a lucid dream anytime they want to, and they have no problem at all taking that lucid dream and making whatever it is they want out of the dream. And to me, that would be the ultimate experience, because that way, right now, I think we live life kind of backwards. We take the concept of linear time, and then we take all the, like I say, all the bullshit we deal with, and all the stress and drama and crap, and then at night we go to sleep to rest. Well, I think we got it backwards. Instead of getting so involved in all the crap going on while you're supposedly awake, is just let it flow through you. Love everything, love everybody, just let it be. And then at night, that's when you really live it. You go back to those places you've seen where there is none of this stuff going on. It's just pure love. That's the only way I can explain it. So that's why I get more enjoyment from my night experience than I do during the day or when I'm awake, because I don't think we're really awake. I think we're still too much asleep. But you talking about your dream being while you were such a young person. I think, like I told you about your girls, I look at those girls when I'm around them, which is not very often, but they're just like the same feeling I got when I first met you, because I don't remember how old you were. You were real small, but I just get that feeling, and I do that with people when I first meet someone. And like I say, I'm very open and open-minded. I love everybody, so I love meeting new people. But there are certain people, when I do meet them, it's like, wow, there's something there, that's not, I don't feel with everyone I meet. And I think when we're young like that, like I told you about your girls, and some of the things that they tell you, and some of the things that Naomi draws and whatever, I think that's because they're not yet old enough to be indoctrinated into so-called reality. They still have an inkling of who they really are. So that's why it comes easier to a young person than it does an older person. Because like I've told you before, even in my own spiritual work, the first thing I had to do was unlearn everything that I've been taught. Whether it was good, bad, ugly, or somewhere in between. Whether it was, I was taught that, most of it with good intentions from loving people, but it wasn't who I was, so I had to unlearn all that. And I think why even you, at such a young, having those kind of dreams, was you hadn't yet experienced all this other crap that life throws at you. It was still open.
It's one reason I try to perpetuate believing in, the Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy and our fairies real, Mom. Yes, they are real. And keeping their belief in that mystical realm and encouraging them to draw. And I'm going to present the idea to Iomi about maybe keeping a dream journal, because she's old enough now to just write down little things. And I just try to keep their creativity, even if it's like Iomi's animation she made last night. I put so much emphasis on how wonderful that is and how good she is, and because I don't want her to lose it.
Anything a parent can do to keep their child's creativity on high speed, I think is such a beautiful thing. And that's why I admire you as a mom. I told you you're a good mom, and I believe that, because just like I saw with you when you were young, all that creativity that you had yet to know what to do with. But I used to look at your drawings, yeah, and I think it's a disservice, and I'm not going. I don't want to put any parent down because I've never raised kids myself. Being a step parent was an experience that I love, but I think it's a disservice to your kids if they come up to you say it's well, Mom or Dad, talk about their imaginary friend or a dream they had or whatever. I think it's a disservice to ever say, well, quit imagining that, or that's just a dream, or you don't know what you're talking about.
And we went through that with Naomi for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Her, whatever it was she saw, newt. And I don't know if it was a spirit or just her total I don't know what it was, but we treated it as if it was as real as she thought it was.
That's great. That's what I subscribe to, that philosophy.
And she doesn't see it anymore, and I still have to ask her about it every once in a while just to see if it's there. But he's not there anymore.
And see, and that you can look at that in any number of ways. It's very possible, again, as the children start growing and they get in school and they're subjected to the bullying and they see this stuff, school shootings, they become indoctrinated into the drama of this so-called life, and they slowly start losing that creativity. And why there are so many young people that are disillusioned and just miserable, why we're having all the crap we do, I personally think it's because they lose sight of that creativity, because we're incarnated as human beings, creative, and if you don't do anything with it, it's going to come out in negative kind of ways. That's why I think that all parents need to want their kids to express their imaginary friends, and like you said, talking about the fairies being real and whatever. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Anything that keeps the imagination there and let them have an avenue to express their creativity without being put down. And I've seen that over and over with kids who were so creative and they try to express that creativity in what they're seeing or experiencing with well-meaning adults and well-meaning parents. I don't put nobody down again, but in their own, because these adults, in their own limited way of looking at things, they do think it's a dream, or you need to outgrow it. You need to get real. Mm-hmm. Quit daydreaming. Get real. You're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to get a job, and and then you see, whenever you get out on your own after being indoctrinated into that belief, well, there you are. You've lost your creativity, and you've been told you got to do this, you got to do that, and your creativity just lying in there wanting to come out, and you don't know what to do with it. So that's why I think a lot of kids turn to drugs, alcohol, and then the ones that just go completely off the grid. Again, that's just a personal opinion, but I think that's a big part of it.
I agree.
Don't never stifle the imagination of a child, because in my experience, that's what I've seen. Children are the most precious things in the world, and they haven't lost their creativity yet, and they know who they are. They realize that they are more than just what everybody's telling them. But again, so much stuff, they're taught so much stuff that they lose sight of that at a real quick age. And the children who are able to hang on to even a part of that will probably be kind of similar to what I experienced in my life. Everything that was taught to me, and I come from a very loving family, and I wouldn't trade none of that for nothing. And I was taught all the basic things about being a good person. You don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal. Not to say I didn't ever steal. When I was a kid, shoplift something at the store I wanted. You make your mistakes like that, but I was indoctrinated into what my parents believed. So of course, when you're young, and whatever your parents and your even your school buddies or whatever they're telling you is the way it is, you can't help but absorb some of that, and you think it's true. So a lot of the kids today, like I say, may find out it'd be similar to what I went through. You get to a point where if you're still hanging on to some of that creativity and you know it's there, you don't know what to do with it, but you find yourself like, this ain't working. I'm not happy. Some part of me feels unfulfilled. I know there's something different. There's something better. And then they will have to maybe take a similar path to what I did in trying to unlearn what was taught to them. My philosophy is anything I read or hear or see, and talking about seeing, we think what we see is real. Well, we base everything on what we see. Of all the senses, the eyes are the least truthful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should go without a matter of saying if you delve a little bit into the illusions. Like the picture I got on my walls there in my den of the skull, and it's called Illusion. I think it's the name of it. And it's a picture of a big skull, which I've always loved skulls for some reason. Wow,
I do too.
Yeah. But anyway, all is vanity. That's the title of it, and you can probably look that up on the internet.
I'm getting a picture of it in my head because I've seen it.
You've seen it, and the skull, and I used to toy with my friends that come over when I first got the picture and hang it up. I said, "What do you think about my picture there? What do you see?" "Well, it's a skull." Yeah, 9 people out of 10 would see the skull. But I said, "No, it's not a skull. What are you talking about? I know what a skull looks like." I said, "Well, look a little bit closer." And then as they look a little bit closer, most of them would eventually get it. Sometimes I'd have to point out something. But it's actually a picture of a woman sitting at her dressing table putting on makeup or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The eyes are the least reliable sense. I'd rather depend on my intuitive sense, the 6th sense, the 5 senses, as great as they are, they're all part of being a human being, and they're based with the ego and illusion. Even what you hear, you think, well, I heard it, so it's true, right? Well, again, that depends on your perception. I could tell you something and you take it one way. I could tell somebody else and they might have a whole different slant on it.
Right.
So did you really hear what you heard? It's not reliable. Your eyes, they're not reliable. Go with the heart. That's what I do. And even that gets tricky because sometimes I think I'm listening to my heart and then later on I find out, well, ego fooled me again. It all happens.
I need to get Naomi to draw me a picture of like a joker, like the fool, and name it Ego.
There you go. Hey, that would be something great to put on your blog, a picture of that. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, I do.